Hey guys, how we doing? Got my Foam Daddy cannon here, and I want to put a wrap on it with my logo. Um, I guess I'm just going to do a quick video of that process for me. And so, fair warning, I have never done this before. I've never taken one of these apart before, and I have never put a vinyl wrap on anything before. So, let's get started. First things first, you want to take the cannon away from the housing here, and you're going to start with these 4 screws. And when you take these off, you want to make sure that these washers go with it. Pull those off, or else they might fall down and get lost. I've already taken 3 of them off, and I'm just going to take this last one off and then pull the cannon out. Okay, I got those screws out. It was a little tight, but the little wiggling comes right off. You want to set it down, and then next thing is I'm going to take off this outer ring. So while you got the cannon off the housing, you might want to go ahead and clean your filter, or at least check to see if it needs cleaned. All you do is take that off, grab you a tiny pair of pliers, and this one's only been used once, so looks pretty good. Never hurts while you have it apart to check and make sure it looks good, and then you put that back on. There you go. Okay, back to the cannon itself. I don't know how much of an issue these screws will be. Hopefully not very much, but just in case, I'm going to take them off anyway. You'll want to get a smaller head Phillips screwdriver. Hello, Mr. Ant. And just get those off real quick. Nothing happens when you take them out, so shouldn't be any issues there. You will have to line them up though when you put the wrap on. To put the screws back in, you'll have to feel around to see where those holes are. Don't forget to put them back in. Also, when you take your cannon out of the housing, you want to make sure that these little brackets stay on. I've heard that some people, when they pull it out, the brackets fall out. So make sure you have brackets on all 4 all 4 places where the screws go back in before you reassemble. Mine stayed on pretty well. Okay, I got it set up here on my tote so that I don't have to bend over really far and can get a good handle on the cannon. So, don't know exactly how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Might wait till the wife gets home to have her hold things and help me, and then we'll go from there. Now, I did notice before I took the cannon out of the housing that this line here corresponds with the bottom of the cannon. Also lines up with this line here. So I don't know if that will help me or not, the way I'm going to put it on, but for some of you, if you start at the bottom, that might be helpful once you get it off. Okay, so I think I want to make some markings. To do that, I want to get the bottom edge here, and then make sure your cone looks like this, so that you're marking on the side with the brackets and not the top side. Okay, so the reason I did that is I want to put some markings on the edge here so I know where to start my wrap. So what I've got is between this edge and this edge, I'm going to guess about where the middle of that is, and that's where I want my line for the bottom of my cannon to be. And so I'm going to put a couple markings, one marking here, and then one marking where this is at on the metal itself, so I'll have a starting point to start my wrap. Okay, so you can see I made a couple of marks on either end. So now I'm just going to take the vinyl to the side and put those markings on the top. Sorry, it's a little blurry. And then once I get them on the top, I can move it right here so I know where to start. And I might not need both of them, but just in case, I want to do the same here. And move the marking to the other side. Now whether I start with this end here or whether I start with this end here, I'll know where my starting point is at. Or if you want to start from the middle and work your way to the sides, I've seen some people do that. You could always just make a line once you get it lined up exactly where you want it, mock it up, and then you could make a line here along this edge and then flip it around and make a line along the other edge, and that way when you start sticking it on, you can line those up and make sure that they're where they need to be. Right, next I would suggest that your cannon itself is cleaned off and dried, and then make sure you have your sprayer with water and soap. I just put enough soap in there to where when I spray it I can see enough bubbles coming out that I think I'll make it kind of slippery before I squeegee out the bubbles from the vinyl. And then I'm gonna use my markings here and line it up just like that. Kind of eyeball it just to see how everything looks on both sides. Then I'm gonna get started. So this is kind of how I have it set up on my tote here. I'm not sure how this is going to work for me, but I do suggest having a helper help you do stuff, because I feel like this is going to be interesting. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, spray, spray, spray some more. I don't really know if you can have too much, but it's better than not enough. Okay, I don't know if you noticed what I did there, but I sprayed a lot. I don't think you can really spray too much. And then I lined up the edges and got it to where it was straight, where I thought it should be. I had to work it around a couple times. Being the soapy water helped me move it around. Um, I did not take all of the backing off. I only took off a little bit. Otherwise, it probably would have been a lot harder to handle. And so I'm just using my Skyline Chili gift card as a squeegee. I didn't get a squeegee with the vinyl. Some people said they did, but I'm just going to use this because that's all I have, and you got to use what you have, right? Also, I turned it around to where I have more light coming in through my garage so I can see the wrinkles easier, and I feel like that's going to help. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab the spray bottle and keep spraying a lot along as I go, and as I go I'm going to keep peeling this down and exposing more of the sticky surface and squeegeeing the soapy water out as I go. Okay, so I just kept going, doing the same thing till I got all the way around, and then after I got to the end, right here's the seal on mine. It does take a minute for that to seal, like it'll kind of flip up and stay up on you, but just keep squeegeeing out over and over and over again, and finally it'll start to stick. As you're going, you'll want to use your towel to clean up the soap when it hits the edges. And yeah, just lots and lots of patience. Takes time, and lots of squeegeeing. Right after you're done getting it sealed up on the edge here, just go back. You'll see little bubbles. Like here's one, and you can just squeegee those all the way to the edge, and you'll see a little bit of soap come out most of the time when you do that, because that's what was in there. Maybe something that you missed when you were putting it on the first time. Now mine did kind of roll over here a little more than I expected on this edge. You can kind of see it start to come. It wasn't perfectly aligned, but that's okay. I mean, if it comes out too much, you can just get a straight razor and slice off the edge. And the trim for where this will be inside of the housing, and the trim that we took off when we took it apart will cover up any weird edges there. As long as you get close enough, it'll be just fine. So yeah, it wasn't easy. Still got some bubbles. You can keep working at it until you get them all out. But if you do your due diligence when you first time going around, getting as much as possible and going at a steady pace, but just slow enough and being patient, you shouldn't have to deal with too many bubbles after the fact. But you can take care of them and squeegee them out to the edges, and then you should be pretty much perfectly flat after that. And next I'm just going to put these screws in, the little ones first. You can kind of see the indentations, and then just push those right in the hole. And once you got that done, you go ahead and put your trim on. Line it up here with the bottom and work it all the way around. And there you go. So now for the fun part, trying to put this back in without being able to see the brackets. But you can obviously tell where they are. You can feel them, and then you can see where they are as well. And I can kind of tell that the hole is right here. So what I'm going to do is put a mark there where the hole is. And that way, when I squeeze it through, I'll know if I could see that black mark through the big hole, then I've got that hole lined up, and maybe that'll help me out. Okay, was really tight. Mine is really tight, but I do have my marking there, So I'm going to go ahead and put a screw in here, and then you also see, like, if it's really tight like mine, you might see some of your vinyl start to bend. Not a ton, but it's definitely noticeable in some areas. So I would just recommend going slow and steady. And if it does move your vinyl some when you're putting it in, those marks that you made earlier, they might not be in the right spot. So just watch for that as well. Okay, once you get everything tightened down, put back together, check out how it looks. Hopefully it turned out good for you. I think mine turned out okay. I like it a lot. There's a few bubbles here and there still, random spots, but nothing that anyone's going to really notice unless they're looking for it. If anybody tells you that doing this is super easy, and I would just have to respectfully disagree with them. But if you've done it dozens of times, I'm sure it's probably easy for you though. I do recommend having somebody to help you, unlike how I did it. If something goes bad, like the vinyl starts to stick to itself, it might be really hard to fix without some help. You might end up having to waste money and throwing your vinyl away. And you don't want that. So if anybody else wants to make a video of how they do it, surely welcome that. Hope you guys get some use out of this though.